Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, beautiful souls and everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are in this beautiful world. It is my honor and pleasure to bring to you, to share with you, a beautiful soul, Nancy Juetten. Bio wow, she is an amazing woman. So please allow me to read her bio and introduce her, and then we're going to get off into an amazing topic as to why it's so important that your bio, your speaker sheet, tells about you and so many other things. But this is her area of expertise. So she's all about get known, get paid mentor and business building expert. Nancy Juetten inspires, and she does. Guides coaches, experts, and authors to get seen, heard, celebrated, and compensated, big deal, for their brilliant work. Thousands of coaches, consultants, solopreneurs, speakers, infopreneurs, and aspiring and thriving authors around the world would attract the speaking gigs, media attention to fill their portfolio of profitable business as a direct result of lessons and proven ways that she shares to support their success. She started out in 2009 by building buzz around her bye-bye boring bio, and I absolutely did that too, by guiding clients to solve this universal and urgent problem. She has since grown her business into a global and thriving enterprise that serves luminaries and aspiring luminaries around the world. Nancy encourages clients to embrace their quirks, raise their voices, inspire, and lead. That means showing up at first glance by being the best version of who they are and building rock-solid businesses that fuel ongoing profits. Welcome, beautiful lady, and thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Bios are so important. We have some questions to ask you, but is there anything that you want to just start off with, because this is such a broad topic and it's so important?
Well, why don't we talk a little bit about how I got started on this journey and
Yes, please.
whether the journey was rocky or smooth, because I think it'd be super important for people to get a sense of who Nancy Juetten really is and why you would want to listen to her. And I'll make it brief, but I promise it'll be powerful.
Absolutely. That's a perfect place to start. And thank you for reminding me. I'm so excited and a little nervous. I forgot to ask you to share your journey, so please do.
People always ask me, how did I get started along this path? Why bios anyway? Why do I even focus there? And, you know, it was a funny thing that I think I have a deep need for other people to feel important because I wanted to feel important too. And I remember writing a letter to the president of the Tootsie Pop Corporation when I was 9 years old. And I told him that I had figured out how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. And I thought he would want to know that. And a few weeks later, I got this gilded certificate in the mail that told me that very few people in the world knew how many licks it takes to get to the center, but this certificate belongs to one of the few who do. And right then and there, I felt important, maybe for the very first time, that someone with a title like president of the company would write me a letter and say, "You matter." And I think that at that very moment, I knew I was going to use words on paper to help other people feel important. So in 2009, when the economy fell apart and my PR firm fell on hard times, I decided at the suggestion of a friend that I should write a book about how to say bye-bye to your boring bio, because there was a whole bunch of people in the world that had been shown the door from corporate America, and they wanted to find a way to attract clients. So for those of you who are new along your business path, I didn't know a whole lot about internet marketing or how to sell a product on the internet, but I wrote an email to my list of people and said, I wrote this book to solve this urgent problem. If this is something you need, go buy it. And then I went out and walked the dog. And when I came back, it was like I was sitting in front of a slot machine and it said, "You have an order, you have an order, you have an order." And I love telling this story because the big idea here is, was there an urgent problem that I could solve with a distinct solution that would ease the pain? And when I got really clear about that, I started shouting it from the rooftops, and people all over the world started to come into my world. And so the big takeaway lesson for everyone who's listening is, what urgent problem do you solve? For whom do you solve it? And why are you the best available athlete to deliver the magic? And oh, by the way, those are the kinds of questions that I guide people to answer for themselves when they figure out how to say bye-bye to their boring bio and hello to the bigger opportunities that they want. Because when you get clear, all of a sudden, people say to you, I need that, I want that, and I'm ready to whip out my wallet to buy that, because without that solution, I am stuck. To the extent that we all can figure out how we can solve a problem, that's going to be the golden ticket. And so that's kind of how it all got started. So I wrote the Bye Bye Boring Bio book, and then I started a group program called Attract Ideal Clients and Speaking Gigs at Hello. And then I have a private mentoring program, and they're all based on this idea of helping messengers get known and paid for their brilliant work. And it always starts with, who are you anyway? And that's where it all starts.
Who are you? What do you do? Exactly. And it's not always an easy question to answer, because most people, myself included, have had an opportunity to just really get over answering that question and getting out of our own way. Was the road really easy for you? I mean, yes, you went out and walked the dog and you made this a fabulous offer, and yet, was it always that easy? Has it been real smooth?
No, it wasn't easy at all. And it's always, I remember talking to Marcy Shimoff, who wrote this book, Happy for No Reason. And I walked to the elevator with her after a big event, and I said, you're such a young woman, and yet you've achieved such amazing success. What do you have to say about that? And she winked at me, and she looked me right in the eye, and she said, I'm an overnight success that took 10 years to build. And you know what, Nancy, I bet you are too. And so that's my story as well. I wrote this book. I had an early success. All of a sudden, the book was going like crazy. But you know what? You can't make a sustainable income by selling a $47 product unless you have, I don't know, a chia pet, or I don't know what it is. But for mere mortals, on Earth, it takes an awful lot of work and a lot of effort to build a platform and build a reputation around a $47 product. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned along the way, and if I could offer advice to any those who are listening, is yes, it's wonderful to have a book, but can you aim higher from the start? Could you let the book be a part of something even bigger and bolder and more powerful that you can offer to folks? Because if you have a $1,000 offer or a $10,000 offer or something even more powerful, and the book is part of it, you don't have to talk to as many people. I mean, if you have the right number of people say yes to your invitation, and let's just say it's a $10,000 invitation, 10 people at $10,000 is $100,000. And wouldn't that be a much faster path to cash, prosperity, ease, and grace than selling one $47 book at a time? So if I had it to do over again, I would have aimed higher from the start with bigger programs right out of the gate. But I think it's not uncommon for people to have head trash that stands in their way, and self-limiting beliefs, and maybe some idea that maybe perhaps you have to suffer more before you can succeed. I don't know what it is that people worry about, but you know what? I've had those worries, and I've slayed those demons, and new demons come in when the old ones get slayed. And,
Yes.
I just do the best I can, but no, it wasn't easy. I think that I'd aim higher from the start if I had to do it over again. Another thing that I struggled with was just really showing up and being myself.
Yes.
And I'm quirky, and I have a clever way of expressing myself, and I think people have teased me about it, and I've tried to water myself down to be like other people who are out there doing something similar. And is it any surprise that didn't really work very well for me? So I am a big proponent of embracing your quirks and raising your voice and inspiring others and leading as best you can, because when you show up in your own brilliant way, it's like you've got magic around you, and the right people find you. And when you try to be something you're not, well, sometimes you end up spending a lot of time alone in your room, wishing and hoping that things were better. So if I had it to do over again, I would have embraced my quirks a whole lot sooner, I think I would have had a lot more fun, but I'm not going to cry in my beer about it because here I am. It's gone pretty well so far, and I've learned from every step, and I'm not disappointed. And then I
Isn't
think
that part? Go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was just going to
Isn't that part of it is to learn from the mistakes or what we consider to be failures? You know, as one of our mutual coaches says, you keep the lesson and you forget the rest of it, and
yes.
the hurt and the disappointment. And the thing is that if we don't take a chance, how do we know it's not going to work? And even if it doesn't, it's going to get you to the next part. So it's kind of an integral piece. And how did you figure out that the bio, clever writing and presentation is one thing, copywriting, this is a specialized type of copywriting. It's different than emails or web pages or articles. How did you just really hone in on that piece, beautiful?
Oh, what a fun question. In my previous life, I owned a public relations agency, and that meant I was like the Wizard of Oz standing behind all these powerful people, and I would move my arms and legs and my pen about or my fingertips on a keyboard, and I would make people look important in the media. And invariably, I'd sit down with CEOs of these major multi-million-dollar companies, and I would say, "Tell me about yourself." And then the president or the CEO would say, "Well, the usual, blah, blah, blah. You'll, pull it together from what you can find online." And I'd lean in and I'd say, "You know what? That's just not going to do it. I really want to know, why did you start this business? What caused you to want to build it to this level of success? What sets you apart from everyone else who does something similar? What's your point of view? What do you care about?" I started talking to people, and then they started opening up to me because people love to talk about themselves, but they started spilling out pearls of brilliance that really did set them apart. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to systematize how I interview CEOs and presidents and people of this stature, and I'm going to make that same interview available to everyone around the world as a gift. Because if people could actually just talk about themselves in ways that people actually wanted to read about it, hear about it, they'd have a lot more juicy conversations. So it started with the work that I did with big name companies that hired my PR firm. And then when the recession happened and people were trying to attract clients and speaking gigs and media interviews at Hello and failing miserably, I thought, well, this is a flag that I could wave for a whole lot of people and really make a big difference. And it's something that I could own, because as a creative person, I don't want to be a karaoke singer and teach the same material that 42 other coaches around the world teach. What if I could name and claim a specific terrific area of niche expertise that solved an urgent problem, that added value for other communities where I would be their delightful guest and they would be happy to have me? All this for example, there's a whole bunch of people out there that coach people to get to six figures fast. Well, they don't want to have each other on each other's shows because they're competing. But they'll happily have me on their show because I'm not competing with their big promise. I'm adding value without competing. So I think at some level it was incredibly strategic on my part to carve out this very specific slice of the business development audience, because now that I have carved out that slice and it's got my name on it, I get lots of invitations to speak and do teleclasses and webinars and interviews. And every time I get invited to do one of them, I know there's somebody listening who absolutely needs what I have to offer and is going to, in the not too distant future, become part of my tribe, decide to become a client of mine, join a program, and be mentored by me. And so I think there are riches and niches, and to the extent that we can all claim one that solves a problem, the better off we can be.
Yes, and I really would like to see, this is just kind of a general statement, that there really is no competition. I love the way you presented that, and that so many people feel that if someone is going to be teaching or offering something similar, that they're going to be taking, and that's just really not a truth. And yet you are able to help so many more because you come in with this expertise to help in a whole different way. And I absolutely love it. So many people have an issue, or they feel defensive, or they're shy and they don't want to talk about themselves because you don't want to be talked about. You don't want to call attention to yourselves. And so how do how do you word it so that you get your message out and it's not all me, I, and yet it's about you, but for them? And
Oh,
that's,
yeah, that's really good. Well, to address the first part of your question, remember that the work that you do is important and can serve a specific audience very well. And so it's a tremendous act of service for you to name and claim who your people are and how they can be served. And so it's not about self-promotion, it's about service to others. And so if you make your bio, like I always say to folks, a third person bio is really one of the best things you can have, because someone is going to invite you to be on a radio show or a podcast or a teleclass or a webinar, and they're going to say, what are 50 words I can use to introduce you before you come on? And so I want you to be able to say, Terry Marie, the angel lady, has been inspiring, spiritual minded people around the globe to achieve this wonderful result with speed, ease, and grace. Today, she's going to talk about A, B, C, and D. Welcome to the show. Right away, we know who you serve, what you do, et cetera, et cetera. It's not about your awards and your achievements and your certifications. It's not about that. It's about how you can serve others. So think about, don't try to do a bio that says everything you've ever done in your life and how many kids you have and how many cats you have upstairs, because most people don't really care about that. What they care about is what's in it for them. And so many people want to get booked on stages and they say things like, I speak about a variety of things in a variety of ways and I can't wait to be of service. And they're wondering why they didn't get a booking. The reason they didn't get a booking is they didn't say specifically and terrifically what they talk about and how the audience is going to win and what sets them apart as a speaker that they can't wait to book. These are important questions to answer. Don't say you talk about a whole lot of things. Say what you really speak about. Like, for example, Mark Howley talks about the Silver Linings Career Playbook, and his whole deal is how you can make the most of your career even if you're in a job you hate. Okay,
nice.
at least we know what he's talking about, and we know whether or not we want him. And so colleges and universities and organizations that serve young career professionals, they want him to come and talk. But you know what he's talking about. How many people do you know in the first couple years of their career who feel underemployed and underappreciated, and they think they want to quit their job every day? And his whole message is there are gifts waiting in that first 2 years of your career. If you just look around to find them, you can have all the success you want if you just find the silver lining in every career step you take. That's a powerful message. It's so much better than I speak about a variety of topics in a variety of ways, and I can't wait to see how I can help you.
And there are so many healers and coaches, and I fell victim to that as well because I wanted to help everybody. I didn't want to exclude anybody. Didn't want to tell anybody no. And I really wasn't doing anyone any service. I wasn't doing anyone the best because I wasn't focused. I didn't know how to focus. And even just writing a bio helped to get me there, and it still took a while. But being able to share what it is that's in it for you, even doing this interview, like what's in it for Nancy? Well, one, we get to share the journey, but more importantly, and on a bigger scale, it's to touch other people's lives, because there are so many amazing men and women that really need bio help, and you're the person I come to.
Well, here's the thing. It's not as, when you get right down to it, people don't necessarily say, boy, I wake up this morning and my bio.
No.
what people are aching and complaining about is, I don't have enough clients. I don't have enough of the right clients. I'm not well known for what it is that I do. My calendar is empty instead of full of the right opportunities. And people are wondering, how can I address this problem? How can I solve this problem? Where's the aspirin to this headache? And it really all does start with, who are you anyway? Are you your resume? Did you see that? There's a Broadway show called Chorus Line, and there was a beautiful song, and those were the lyrics. Who am I anyway? Am I my resume? Or is it a picture of a person I don't know? Bottom line is, most people are just schlepping it together at the last minute, hoping and praying that the spaghetti will stick on the wall. And it actually does take a little bit of effort for you to think through, who are you? Who do you serve? And why does it matter? And will people want to invest meaningfully to get the benefit or the relief? Because just because you're really good at left-handed underwater basket weaving doesn't mean that you can get to six figures fast. You need to find a market for that. And so,
Exactly.
and when you name and claim who your people are, it makes it a lot easier for you to find them. Doesn't that make sense? You can
It does.
find
And you can find them and they can find you, because there's a word of mouth and there's the energy that goes out. And Angels, please fix the techie. Thank you. So I'm not sure that we addressed this yet, and I want to be sure. What were some of the most powerful lessons you've learned so far, beautiful lady?
we did talk about a little bit of that. I said aim higher from the start, show up,
Right.
quirks and all. And the one thing we didn't talk about, which I think we're kind of dancing around, is that if you could please get clarity about the big outcome that your clients welcome. I'll give you a really specific example from my own experience, and in the spirit of transparency. I come to this work having been a publicist who helped people get on television and radio. So is it any surprise that when I first started teaching, I had a program called Broadcast Your Brilliance. And I had hundreds of people in the program, and I did a nice job with it. And yet, when I actually got down to brass tacks and started dialing in on what my customers were asking for and what they needed, they were saying, I want to attract clients and speaking gigs fast. They weren't saying, I want to broadcast my brilliance. And so one of my biggest lessons was learning to get nitty gritty and clear and specific about what really the outcome is, and to set aside flowery language that was clever and compelling instead of getting, it's better to get super clear. What will you get? And talk about it in a way that your neighbor or your best friend or your child will understand. What do I get? I have a little side hustle called the Very Important Pup Hotel. And you know what people get? They get a beautiful place for their pampered pooch to stay while they're taking fancy vacations. And most of my clients will not leave the country until they know that their dog is in loving hands. They will not put their dog in jail, but they will happily come to the Very Important Pup Hotel and know that their dog or pup will be treated like royalty. So when you get really clear about what you offer, the Very Important Pup Hotel does not require a lot of explanation what it is. You know right away what it is. Attract ideal clients and speaking gigs at Hello training. What is the benefit? You're going to attract ideal clients and speaking gigs at Hello. So if I had it to do over again, and I have done that many times, I would have gotten even more crystal clear about the juicy benefit and describe it in specific, terrific, plain spoken language, so anyone who's reading it understands it and knows well enough as to whether or not they need it, they want it, or they want to refer someone to get it. Big lesson there.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge, because it stops so many people from really fulfilling their purpose and getting their message out, because they don't know how to do that. What are some of the big takeaways that you would like to share with our audience today, beautiful Nancy?
Well, I guess if you're writing about yourself, one of the things I want you to think about is it's not about you, it's about how you serve others. Number
Okay.
2, there are a couple of things that stop conversations before they even start. And what are they? If you want to get known if you want to speak more, for example, you want to get booked on stages, podcasts, radio interviews, what you need to have is a topic that you're going to talk about and some specific, terrific takeaway points that make clear why their audience would be interested in this. And without those 2 things, you're kind of stuck at the front door. So if you do want to get booked to speak more, what is your sassy topic? And what are your 3 takeaway points? And then when you're writing your takeaway points, you've heard that bullets can be on fire with impact, but bullets can also fall flat when they say nothing or sound generic. So you will learn A, B, and C. Make sure A, B, and C are rocking the house and have intrigue and curiosity and what's new and what's urgent. Because if it reads like blah, 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 it's likely going to get a blah, blah, blah response.
True. Very true. How do you talk about specific language or non-specific language that pops and yet not sounding so generic? How does someone differentiate between non-flowery and getting to the point and not sounding like everybody else?
Well, this is where you have to this is where embracing your quirks becomes important.
Okay.
You know, there's a very well-known coach out there who's swears, talks like a sailor, and says things like, suck it up and grow a pair. She actually says things like that. And I don't even have to tell you her name, and chances are you already know who I'm talking about. And this is a woman who has a distinct tone of voice, a point of view that breaks free from the clutter. I have more of an Audrey Hepburn style about me. I'm not going to be a Tarzan, beat my chest and look at me kind of person. I'm just going to be myself and use words there's always a little alliteration and something clever and like when I said, you'll get seen, heard, celebrated, and compensated for your expert status.
Mm-hmm.
I just love words that are somewhat poetic and that roll off the tongue. And this is a gift that I have that I use to my advantage. If that's not your gift, then don't try to make it your gift. But that's my way of showing my tone of voice and my point of view. And if the way the words sound as you hear them and the way they feel when you read them feels like a hug that you can't wait to return the embrace, you probably know that I'm your gal. And I would just encourage everyone who's writing about him or herself to write in a way and speak in a way that demonstrates your true voice and what you believe and what you care about. And if this isn't something you're good at, then find someone who's good at it who can help you with it, because let's face it, you cannot be successful in business if people can't get what you're up about. They just don't get it. I don't know if I answered that question.
You absolutely did. And there are so many people who think, well, I can do it all myself. Well, yes, absolutely. And it will take you a lot longer simply because you're in a cocoon and you're unwilling to invest in yourself, whatever it is. And a bio is so important. They used to be all about I, me. We talked about that before, but people don't. I want to rephrase that. It would be so awesome for people to just really be able to get outside their comfort zone and to invest in someone like you who knows what they're talking about. This is your area of expertise. There are other areas that you get help with, and you and I both are not shy about saying, hey, I got help with XYZ.
Well,
I do this. This is my expertise.
Let me just ask you a question, because I want to make this more real for people. So you are doing this Business and Prosperity Mastery interview series, and
yes.
your star is rising, and you're going to get cooler and even more important guests on your show as things move along. And so when you are reaching out to a potential guest to be on your show, I would imagine that what you want is for the person to say, I'm so honored to be asked to be on the show. Here's everything you asked for and one more bonus that you didn't know you needed. Is there anything more I can do to make this a fabulous experience?
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
yet, I would imagine that as you've been seeking out guests to be on your show, you may be having a different experience in terms of the response. Have you had guests that have felt like you were chasing them like cats, that didn't give you what you needed when you needed it and created more work for you than ease?
Yes. In a previous summit, the one I just held or hosted in September, oh my goodness, it was some of the people, bless their souls, were just so horrendous. And it was, OMG, are you serious? And
See,
I really needed to take a step back.
This is what I'm talking about. You know how we're talking about how we're so, oh, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. And yet when opportunity knocked, the telesummit knocked, and these people were not ready. They didn't supply the information in a timely manner. You had to have people chase them to get what you needed so you could produce this program and serve your bigger audience. And when the thing was done, do you remember who was a dream guest and who was the opposite?
Absolutely.
And when you have a guest who's the opposite, what is the likelihood that you're going to invite them back or refer them to other people?
I am going to send them unconditional love light and thank them, and I am going to put them on the no thank you, not again list.
And so this is my point. This is my point, is that, and a takeaway point for everyone, if you want to be on Terry Marie's show or the Oprah show or Ellen DeGeneres' show or anybody in your industry who's the biggest name who you would love to have in your circle, behave and believe as if that call was coming to you tomorrow. Is your speaker one sheet ready to go? Do you know the 5 questions you most want to be asked during that interview so that it can be an engaging conversation? Do you have a free gift to offer that will make it easy for people who are listening to go and get it, and that they will actually want to go and get it? And these kinds of things, if you don't have that ready to go, then when your golden moment comes, you're going to be at the train station and everybody else is going to be at the airport. And you will not get where you're going by being ill prepared. So I consider every single interview, no matter how big the audience, a huge opportunity, because I don't know who's listening. I don't know who's out there that's paying attention, but it has happened to me on many, many occasions that someone of significant influence saw an interview just like this and said, wow, I want her on my program. And then I get 5 more interview requests, and then I reach more and more people, and then more and more people are ready for their interviews, and they're showing up like rock stars, and they're doing it with grace and ease. And then more messages are delivered and more commerce is done, and all that good stuff happens. So it's not that your bio, listen, I think bios are important, but I don't want to put them on some high horse. The bigger idea is, what kinds of opportunities do you want, and are you ready for them, so that when the door to opportunity swings open, you're the first one through the door, and you're the first one that gets referred, recommended, and booked. Because when that happens, you have more control over your destiny. And if you're not ready to go, your destiny is stuck in the round file, struggling to get out. And that's really what I think we need to do. That's what I want people, that's the wake up call I'm issuing today.
That I think is it's absolutely spot on, even more so, or actually in tandem or in balance with what to be saying, what's in it for others. Because when I approached you and it was just a simple, hey, Nancy, I'm going to be starting this interview series in January. Would you like to be a part of it? And I didn't even have much of anything except a sketchy outline put together. And thankfully, we'd known each other a little bit. So it was like, yeah, okay, who's this? And you said yes. And then when I had I made the time to put it together and okay, here it is. Boom. I mean, you were so fast. so quick. It didn't surprise me, and yet it was like, wow, okay, this is really getting off the ground. And you are such the perfect person to kick this whole series off. And I'm just so excited. Gosh, I'm getting goosebumps all over my legs, the chills all over my legs, which is a good
Oh,
sign.
there's something else that you said that I think is really, really important too. You said, our paths had crossed. We knew each other from another association,
Mhm.
and we're both on a similar path to success.
Yes.
And, when you have a relationship established because you invested in a high-end mastermind or you're circling with people who are playing a bigger game, it just naturally unfolds that you will create wonderful relationships with the people with whom you are circling. And
Mhm.
most of the interview opportunities that came to me in the beginning came to me because someone met me at a live event. They met me in a mastermind. They met me somewhere where people had invested money to be in the room, and they liked my energy, and we started to create a relationship. And then as we got to know each other, they would say, I've got a television show, I've got a radio show, I'm doing a podcast. You'd be an awesome guest. So don't underestimate the value of creating real relationships with real people who are going downtown, because they'll take you with them, and then you'll go to higher floors of success. But you can't do it alone. And I'm supporting Terry Marie's success by being a part of her show. I'll share this show with people in my world. Her star will rise much higher. It's a lift as we climb philosophy that I take with every interview, with every client engagement, with everything that I do. It's not just all about me. It's how I can lift up others. And so I
Yes.
hope that that's just the way I am. That's my quirky, authentic best. It isn't all about me. It's about how can we rise? How can the boat rise a little? How can the tide rise with the boats? And how can we go further together? And here we are. So
And
don't
here we are.
underestimate the value of a relationship. And you know what? Sometimes at the end of an interview, I'll say, who else do you want to talk to who would make your show even better? May I make an introduction? That's another takeaway point, is how can you be an awesome guest? You can be an awesome guest by being ready and getting the host everything she needs faster than she ever thought it could deliver to her. And you can also be an awesome guest by showing up on time or early and being well prepared. And number 3 is you can say, what else can I do to support the success of your program? Who else would you like to meet? Maybe I can help you. When you do those kinds of things, people say, wow, that's really unusual. That's above and beyond the call. And that
It is.
leaves a lasting impression, and people will talk about it. They'll say, wow, she was a great guest. Do you need a great guest? I'd much rather they talk about me like that than the alternative.
Well,
Right?
if anybody talks about you at the alternative, they can speak to me, because that would be totally an illusion and so not even close to a truth. This is you are such a bright light, and your energy is amazing. We've only met virtually, and I hope at some point that we can meet, face to face. And I know we're not done yet, but this just is coming up now, and that's when I do things, is how they come up. So
Nice. I
you
love it.
you talk about some instant and how to instantly master secret ninja tips. Any speakers, without giving away all of your, very, very best innermost things, because I really want people to seek you out. You are so fabulous. You really are. I'm getting chills on my legs again. And anyway, so
Well,
is
I
there
kind of
something that
covered
you're
a
willing?
couple of them. I covered them
Okay,
already, which is number
we
one,
did.
you want to be
Okay.
ready. You want to be ready. You want to be a
Yes.
great guest. And then you want to set the intention that there will be spin-off and repeat engagements. What you
Okay.
intend often manifests. I'll give you an example. Last, just early this month, I hosted a master class that talked about the three, the three ways to get booked on more live and virtual stages, even if you're not the most known speaker. And I had not given this particular webinar before, and I had put a lot of effort to put forth to create it. And I intended for over 1,000 people to register for it.
Okay.
And as it turned out, about 1,200 people registered for it, and they
Nice.
raved about it. And just imagine, 1,200 people listening in or registering or enjoying your replay. The 1,200 people, listen, I know it's not the Taj Mahal or it's not the Grand Ole Opry, but it's 1,200 people, which is probably more than I deal with most day to day. I delivered the best content that I knew how. I trained and guided people to the promises that I made, and I intended for great results. A beautiful and glorious side effect is that 10 new speaking engagements came my way as a direct result of that masterclass. And so that is a beautiful outcome, because these people said, I lead a tribe of aspiring speakers and they need to hear what you have to say. Will you please lead this call for us? I have thousands of people in my community and I can't wait to host you. So when you deliver a talk with heart and you let your whole message just pour into people and you give them the very best that you have, behave and believe as if the most important person in the world was listening, even if only 5 people are there. Because maybe 1 out of the 5 has got the key to the door that's going to open up the whole new world for you. And that has happened for me again and again and again. So even when you're just starting out and you don't yet believe that you are all that, somehow summon up the courage to be all that in that moment. Okay?
Yes.
Because you just don't know what bounty is waiting. And, during the masterclass, I talked about how one speaking gig in front of the right audience can mean anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000 in new revenue. And so if I've already got 10 gigs on the calendar, well, you do the math. I'm very excited about it because I love teaching about getting ready for opportunity before opportunity knocks and helping entrepreneurs name and claim their niche audience so they can stand out and shine and attract the right people to benefit from what they have to offer. And if these are struggles that you or others are dealing with, well, I have some power under the tent to offer that can help you get there.
You most certainly do. And I attended that webinar that you taught, and I absolutely loved it. I have pages of notes.
Well, that makes me happy. And, I've got a whole bunch of new students that are joining me in the Attract Ideal Clients and Speaking Gigs at Hello Success training, which is another ninja tip, I suppose, which is you deliver a talk or a message with, there's certain outcomes that you want. Sometimes I say, and maybe you'll wink and grin with me, but may there be no technology glitches, because sometimes with technology, there are things that are outside of our control. But I intend that technology will work flawlessly. I intend that my spirit of service will be at the highest level possible. I intend that the right people will show up and have massive value delivered to them. I also may set an intention that I want to invite a certain number of sales. And then I always say, and this or something better, I'll happily receive. Because it's the this or something better that's sometimes where all the magic is, well beyond what sales happened in the shopping cart. And so when you're invited to speak, think about the or something better that you didn't even know was possible that could happen, because it just allows you to up your game even more, which gets me to circling back to my original point, which is, could you aim higher from the start? You can sell your $47 book and sell a whole bunch of them. But what if you started getting fan mail from people who said, I followed your training to the letter and I just got invited to present to the Queen. I followed your training to the letter and I'm now on the Bold stage in the Inbound conference in Boston with thousands of people. I followed your training to the letter, and look at me now. It never would have happened had I not listened to that teleclass, way back when. So the pebble in a pond that we put out there has a much bigger impact beyond the initial sale that may happen. Sometimes I end up on people's Christmas cards for life because I made that big of a shift for them. And so think about the this or something better that's coming, because it's almost so much better than any sale you can make. And the sales are good too.
The sales are good too. Yes. Well, beautiful lady, if there's nothing more that comes to mind to share with us at the moment, and you have shared so much. I mean, it's not even golden. It is absolutely priceless. It absolutely is. And I'm not saying that just to be nice and because I already love you. It's fabulous information. So please tell us how our listeners, either now or at some point in the future, can find you.
If you would like to find me, I'd like to give you a gift today that will help you step up and get known and paid for your brilliant work in the world. All you need to do is visit sizzlingspeakersheet.com, and you will instantly download a sassy, easy template that will allow you to describe who you are, what you speak about, and why you're the best available talent to deliver the magic. I promise if you fill this out, you will get to the magic of your message. And if you need a little more help, well, you know who you can call if that would be a desire. I will be on the other side with you. So
Yes, that would be Nancy Juetten.
Yeah, sizzlingspeakersheet.com is where I want you to go. And if you're feeling particularly generous, why don't you tell 10 of your friends? How's that?
Absolutely, absolutely, because why not? What goes around comes around, doesn't it?
Amen.
Amen. This has been such a joy and such a treasure. I absolutely am honored and ecstatic.
Too. Well, I hope it was fun for you. I hope it was fun for your listeners, and may all your quirks be out there so people can discover what's brilliant about you.
Thank you. I quit hiding that I talk to, as my webmaster calls, my guys. Right in the middle of a conversation, I'll just say, okay, just a second. I've quit hiding that. Or when I look off to someplace else, it's like, that's where I'm getting the information. I quit trying to figure out how to not do that.
Doesn't everything get so much easier when you just be it,
Yes.
Because you know what? How many people are looking for someone who can help them understand what the angels are trying to tell them? And I have angel cards sitting right here, by the way. They were given to me by a friend. And I thought, you know what? There's something to this. And so I'm leaning into it, It's been a pleasure.
I'm so glad.
Really enjoyed it.
Me too. And I just want to say it one more time, sizzlingspeakersheet.com. Past and beyond golden, ladies and gentlemen. It is priceless. Thank you, thank you, thank you, beautiful lady, for being with us. It is an absolute joy as always.
Thank you.
So this is the Angel Lady, and we'll talk with you again soon, beautiful soul. Bye-bye for now.